on a raw vegan lifestyle. So one of the first things I'm starting off with is all of these big items that I have here sitting on the table. And the reason I'm starting with this is because without these things, it would be really hard for me to do the things that I do. I make lots of salads and I put together a lot of different meals, and these are the three things that I think are the most important to start off in a raw vegan kitchen. So number one, of course, is the Vitamix. This is what I do a lot of my things in. Most things I do in the Vitamix, making sea moss and things like that, are definitely a necessity in the Vitamix. So what I do with this Ninja, which a lot of people use the Magic Bullet, it really doesn't matter. It's a cup-sized blender. If I were to not be able to afford any other items here, I would go with something like this to start a raw vegan lifestyle or diet, because of the fact that you can do so many little things in here. You can make smoothies in here, but most of all, you can make dressings and lots of sauces, and it's really convenient and easy. You know, you just take this thing off, unscrew it, throw your stuff in there, and it's done. It's easy cleanup. When it comes to doing the bigger things, the Vitamix is always the best. And this Vitamix is getting pretty old. I've probably had it close to 4 years now. So it took me about a year in a raw vegan diet to decide to get the Vitamix. I was starting off with just using something little like this, which at that time was a Magic Bullet, which ended up going south because I used it so much and it was old anyway. So I ended up getting this. But I love using a food processor, and the reason I like this is because there's certain things that you can make that just come out better in a food processor than it does even in the Vitamix, because there's just certain things you can't do in the Vitamix. Like I love this little gadget, and I do a lot of salads, and salad is something that I have at least 5 days out of the week, and I like to do a lot of different things with salads. I like to make beet salads. I like to put the beets in here, and when it goes through that little process, through that shredder piece, it will make it into sort of like a pesto type of thing, and it comes out great. And I could also chop a lot of little things in there. So this is what I start off with, as saying that this is definitely a must-have. I wouldn't know what to do in my kitchen. So I must have picked up thousands of little gadgets along the way in my 5 years on this raw vegan diet. But the things that I really narrowed down to being the most important are the ones that I'm showing today. And so what I have here is the spiralizer. I love this thing. I use it a lot because I don't only use this for the zucchini and making zoodles, but I've also used it for sweet potato, and I've even used it with beets and things of that nature. So this is a really handy gadget to have. I have a few of the little handheld ones too that are very convenient. And so I really like that. And another thing that I use a lot, and I really think this is a must-have in a raw vegan kitchen, is my mandolin. And this mandolin is great because I am a person who loves salads. I love things very thinly sliced, and I love to make things like slaw and purple cabbage mixed with green cabbages. I love to use it for thinning my onions real thin in my salads and stuff of that nature. So this is definitely a must-have. And then this little gadget is something that goes on the mandolin so you do not slice your hand off or whatever. So this is an important gadget. It just kind of has this little thing that attaches to the produce, and it will you will use it just like that, and This is definitely handy. And I love my chopper. This is definitely important to have. It's important to have some kind of chopper if you like your salads to be finely chopped like I do. And of course, my lemon things, these are important to me. I use them for all kinds of stuff. This bigger one I've even used for oranges and things like that, because sometimes I make salad dressings and I don't really want to take the blender out. There's things that I mix with nut butters and stuff, and I need to have those things. So another thing is a ceramic knife. This is a great thing to have. It's important to have a good knife, and that's my favorite one. I have lots of knives, but one like that is probably a good one to start with. And I also love my lemon zester, and I use this to zest orange too and different things like that, but it's a good way of getting vitamin C into your salads and different things that you're making. It makes for a beautiful dish to top off with those things. And also I use probably more than anything is the Titan peelers, and the one peeler is just to peel, and the other one is it makes it in like threes, and this is just such a handy gadget to have. I do this all the time with, I do it with beets, I do it with carrots and all different color carrots. So these are the gadgets that are important for me to have. I just want to talk about some of the raw vegan foods. And I just think sometimes that it could be very overwhelming for some people starting a raw food diet, or even just wanting to venture into eating more raw foods, how to go about it. And there's so many things. I mean, you can spend thousands of dollars on all kinds of nuts and seeds, and how many gadgets that we can think of that we would need, and it could be a little bit overwhelming. So this stuff here is stuff that I narrow it down to, because if I was to not have anything, these would be the things that I would have as far as getting started with things, because these are things that during the process of a raw vegan diet you're going to eventually need. Now, I always use sea moss, and I put my sea moss in one of these glass containers, and I always have sea moss. I have this on order at Amazon, where I get it like every, I don't know, 2 months or something like that. And I always make sure that I have plenty of sea moss, and I always have sea moss gel made in my refrigerator to keep that ahead, so that when I want to put it in smoothies and things, I always have it. So I always think that having seeds, a lot of different kinds of seeds, helps a lot more than worrying about so many nuts. You know, nuts can get so expensive. I'm not saying that I don't have cashews and pine nuts and things like that sometimes, but it's not really a staple. But these seeds that I have are a staple for me. And so I like to always have sesame seeds. Sesame seeds make the most delicious tahini. I also keep the nut butter, seed butter, not nut butter, tahini, because I use both. And this particular tahini is delicious. This Goebels, I love this brand. And so these are things that you can do so much with. Not just sauces and stuff, but you could just make so many different dressings with these items. And you'll always need to have apple cider vinegar. This is something I take every day, and this is something that I add to salads a lot, and I add to a lot of different dishes. So this is definitely a must. I am never without apple cider vinegar. Going back into the seeds, I always have hemp seeds. And if I can't afford to make almond milk, which I love almond milk, and I love to make almond milk and have almonds and all different kinds of nuts, but sometimes I can't necessarily afford to have all those things in abundance. So I always make sure that I have hemp seeds, because I can make milk out of hemp seeds. I can make lots of dressing out of hemp seeds, and it goes a long ways. This big bag lasts me a really long time. So that's another really important staple for me. And I also, and I'm almost out, but I love pumpkin seeds, and I add them to my salads all the time. But you can also make dressings with pumpkin seeds, and you can soak these. And seeds are not quite as expensive as nuts. They go a long ways. If there's any nut that I like to keep all the time, it's actually walnuts. I love to have walnuts because I could put those in salads. I could make different dishes with walnuts, but it's not necessarily a necessity, but it is something that I always like to keep and have. And I like to keep dulse and kelp all the time because I like to add these to a lot of my different dressings. And there's so many different kinds of dressings that you could put together with these ingredients, with just the mixture of these ingredients. And so I also, as far as foods, and not really going to talk a lot about foods and all the produce that you buy, because that's just a given that you're going to need those things. But what I always keep on hand to have for sauces is like ginger and garlic. And these are things that I add to a lot of these different sauces all the time. So when I'm down low on ginger, I just make sure that I always keep enough to have enough to use for salads and dressings. And then another big thing, these are 2 items. This is a food item, both of these, but these are so essential in my life. I zoodle a lot with zucchini. I also use zucchini a ton for all of these different dressings that I make. So this is definitely a necessity for me. I always have to have zucchini around, and lemons. So lemons or lemons and limes. Also, I make sure that I always have avocados. Avocados is another food staple to always have, because I cut these up and put them in salads. Sometimes I've made dressings out of these. And with these items that I always have, I'm always all set. I just get the produce that I need, and I could put together things all the time without having to worry about all of these different nuts and seeds and what I have and don't have. I get a lot of these things more in bulk and order them on Amazon and keep them all the time in stock. And it saves me a lot of money that way. I feel that this is the best thing that I can have. Oh, I also want to talk a little bit about the sprouts. These are the 2 different sprouts. Now, I do a lot of sprouting. I sprout sunflower seeds. I do wheatgrass sometimes. I do a lot of different seeds. But both the clover sprouts and the broccoli, these 2 are the 2 that I always have. I don't run out of these because these are so easy to sprout. I sprout these right in the jar, and I have them all the time to add to salads. And I also get a lot of these on Amazon. This broccoli sprouts is something else that I get on an auto shipment. Some of these auto shipments are good because I don't have to think about it. Sometimes it just comes in and I say, oh good, I was getting low, and I don't have to worry about it. It just comes in. And